What's good, y'all? Hoping y'all having a great Wednesday morning so far. I just got done doing my cardio on the Stairmaster, and as I was doing my cardio, I was sitting here thinking about how you have to be willing in life to restart your story. You have to be willing to restart your story. I think a lot of times in life, when we live it, some people find it hard to grasp the fact that, life is like an up and down roller coaster. You know what I'm saying? One minute you think you're on the right path, the next minute you done venture off on another path, but that's part of the learning process. You know what I'm saying? That's part of your growth. There's times where you will be obedient to spirit, and then there's times where you just go against the grain. You know what I'm saying? It's not even, most times it ain't even deliberately. You know what I'm saying? That's part of, this human experience that we're experiencing. And that's how you learn. We out here, we live in life. Sometimes you do shit right. Sometimes you do shit wrong. And the wrong shit you do, that's what helps you grow. You know what I'm saying? And so don't feel like you are failing in life if you're feeling like you got to restart your story all over again, because your story is always going to be full of restarts. You see what I'm saying? Because I used to feel the same way. There was moments where, and this is before I even understood the process, before I understood growth and just, learning about myself and going through my experiences. There's times where you might be for a whole month or two, you on the right path, everything going smooth, and you really feeling successful in life, and then that next month it feel like all hell done broke loose. And so you gotta restart. You know what I'm saying? And restarting, I don't know what it is. People been, be having this phobia about restarting, whether it's in relationships or, whether you got to find a new job or a different career change. It's like people have this phobia of restarting. And I feel like for me personally, I always embraced restarting. I used to be surrounded by people all the time, and still to this day, who feel like restarting is a bad thing. When I can honestly say that it's because of me constantly restarting. That's how I grew into who I am as a person, as a woman. You know what I'm saying? That's how I grew spiritually, because I embraced restarting. And you have to change your perspective on that shit, because it's not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? If you really think about it, if you are in a situation in your life, you know what I'm saying, and it's not the best situation, and whatever the case may be, whether it be financially, maybe a relationship that you may be in, or whatever the case may be, if you really think about it, imagine what could happen if you didn't take the time to go ahead and restart. Like, really think about that shit. If you just allowed yourself to be comfortable in whatever situation it is that you're in now, that's not, the most ideal for you in your life at this moment. Imagine what would happen if you didn't restart. You know what I'm saying? You'll be sitting there in your comfortability. You'll be stunting your growth. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't really learn what it is that you need to learn. And it's actually a horrible thing to just be stagnant in a place where there's no growth. You know what I'm saying? And as you get older, and this is something that I learned too, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that when it comes to having people in my life, or what I do financially, you know what I'm saying, I have to grow in some way. It has to be some type of progress. Even if I haven't grown to my full potential, I have to see some type of progress towards growth, or I don't want it. You see what I'm saying? I don't want it, because I know what it's like to be in circumstances and situations and stuff where I'm not growing, and it's a terrible feeling. So sometimes you may have to restart. I won't even say sometimes. A lot of times you're going to have to restart your story all over again, because that's just life, due to your circumstances and your experiences and stuff like that. That's how you learn. Restarting is not a bad thing. I don't know who told people that it was, but people really have a phobia or something of restarting. Restarting for me is the best thing. And I'm so glad I was able to embrace that in my life, because I no longer look at it as a bad thing like I used to. Like when I take a look back over my life, even take a look back over your life, times where you had to restart, did it backtrack you in any way? No, it didn't. It may have felt like it at the time, or the thought of it, you know, when you had that initial thought like, damn, I gotta start all over, I gotta find a new job, or I gotta do this, you know what I'm saying? It didn't cause you any type of harm. That was just like negative self-talk that you had, you know what I'm saying? But when you take a look back over your life and the times where you restarted, you grew. Look where you are now compared to where you used to be. You see what I'm saying? You just got to change your perspective. That's why I be saying life is about your perspective. You know, you have a choice to look at things in a good way, or you have a choice to look at things in a bad way. And whichever way you decide to look at it is going to, you know, paint the picture that you see. You see what I'm saying? So understand that restarting is not a bad thing. You have to be willing to restart if you want to grow. You got to be willing to restart if you want to find, you know, that person that's really meant for you. You might have to restart to, you know, if you want to gain better finances. You know what I'm saying? You might have to restart if you want to, you know, make more money at a job. You might have to leave the job that you at now. You might have to learn a new skill. You got to restart. You see what I'm saying? And that's just life. So don't feel bad if you feel like you got to restart your story. It's part of the process.